So we're going to start the new topic today, and the name of the topic is this is chapter 3, kinematics. So if you
I
remember from
I send you one notes regarding kinematics. We can go through it first.
no, I will teach you with my method. So after that we can look over that. Okay. So kinematics. What is kinematics? If you remember from O levels, it is basically you study how things move. You study like how are they moving, what's their acceleration, what's their current velocity, what will be their
Yeah,
velocity after some time. This is what you study in kinematics. Okay, you don't study the cause of motion, that you study in the next chapter, dynamics. In this chapter you just study how things are moving right now basically. Okay,
Mm,
so if you remember, just to give a recap, in O levels you may have studied like this term, average velocity.
yeah. Average velocity
So
equals
this is what they teach in O levels, average velocity.
velocity.
And this basically means that you are moving. What would be the case if you are moving with the same speed, average speed or average velocity? Let's call it average speed. This basically we are talking about the magnitude. That's why I'm writing speed. Okay, we are not concerned with the direction right now in this chapter, so we'll only use speed for now. So we know what is this. This is basically equal to distance moved divided by
Average time taken.
total time taken. Total
Total.
time taken. So just to clarify it even more, I can say total distance moved divided by
Total
total time taken.
distance
So
covered.
that's one of the basic definitions of average speed. Okay. Now this basically means like let's say, what does this average speed mean? Average speed means that if you have an object that's moving like this, okay, and let's say this is the speed and this is the time. So let's say its speed is like this, right? So if I find the average speed for this whole journey, it will come out to be a line somewhere in the middle of these, like this. Okay, and the area under this will be such that it will be equal to the area under the blue line. This is what average speed is basically. We'll study why and everything. Average speed basically gives you the average, like what would be the speed if it was going at a constant rate. Like if you want to cover 40 meters, you can cover in this way, like you can increase your speed, decrease your speed, like that. But if you find the average speed, it will tell you what constant speed do you need
Mm.
to get to your destination at a constant speed, in that time at a constant speed, like you are not changing your speed at any time. That is average speed basically. Okay. Similarly, from average speed, we did some basic laws, and I will write a few of them. So one was like, when you have average speed, obviously it is equal to v is equal to s over t. So this one was pretty basic. There is no acceleration. Speed is remaining the same over the whole journey. So if you want to calculate the speed at any time, what you do is you just say, if you want to calculate the distance at any time, distance is shown by s. Okay, so s is distance. S is not speed. S is distance. V is speed. So this is a convention in physics. In all our formulas, whenever you see s, s will be distance. S will not be speed. So s is basically
Alright.
equal to v into t.
Then why are we writing uh, S D instead of S?
What are we writing?
We should write D if it's distance.
Yeah, the thing is, it is commonly used. S is commonly used for distance. S is commonly okay. We can go with D, we can go with D too. Okay, that doesn't matter even. Okay, so this is let's say this is D, and let's say this is D. Okay, this is a basic laws, and even if I want to calculate time, I can calculate that easily. So D T is basically equal to distance that has been covered divided by
Velocity.
V. These are basically the same ways of saying the same formula, the first one, and these are only applicable for, this is what we studied in O levels, and the thing with them is they are limited. You cannot apply them everywhere. So we'll see. Okay, so only applicable for average speed. So if your speed is same, or you can say average slash constant speed. So if you have an average speed or a constant speed throughout the journey, in only that case you can apply these formulas. If your speed is changing, so let's say your object is accelerating, then you cannot apply these formulas. So let's say if you are dropping a ball at some height and the ball basically at first it is at 0, then it increases its speed, then in that case you cannot apply these formulas because the speed is not constant in that case. Okay, so that's one thing we have to worry about in this case. Then we already know from the physical quantity chapter what is speed and distance and velocity and displacement. So let's say similarly we know this is average speed. So let me just copy this part, and let's paste this over here. And the only change we're going to make is if we have average velocity, in that case we will use total displacement. Let's say moved, I don't think it's accurate. Let's say total displacement by total time. Okay. Yeah. So this is the definition for both average speed and average velocity. So notice the word total. So total is the keyword here. So total distance moved divided by total time taken. Total distance,
What is displacement?
total displacement. Sorry, can you repeat?
What is displacement?
Do you not remember? Okay, so I thought this was like tall and oil. So let me explain it again. Displacement is basically the shortest distance between 2 points. So let's say you're traveling from this point to this point. You can go like this. You can go like this in any of these methods, but the shortest distance that is like this. Shortest distance is like this. Right? So the displacement between these 2 points is like 5, let's say. You can either make that 500 by like going like this. In that case, you are covering more distance. And let's say you cover that in like 10 seconds. So you covered more distance, but your displacement will be 5 by 10 and 0.5. Your velocity will be 0.5. Okay. So that's basically the case of distance and displacement. Okay. Now the thing is, let's consider now an axis. Let me see if I have any. Let's consider this one line. Let's say we have this one line. Okay, let's call this the x-axis. We are only dealing with one axis right now. Okay, and let's say this is your 0 mark, and then after that, let's say at some position you were over here, x1, and after some time you were over here at x2. Let's say this was time t1 when you were over here, and this was time t2. Okay, so your average velocity, if I want to calculate in this case, this is displacement over time, right? So v average is shown like this with this line on top. Average v is equal to, what is it equal to? Displacement, which is x2 minus x1. Okay, because that is also the shortest distance if you notice. And time, change in time, which is t2 minus t1.
Or even you can represent time with the triangle t.
Yeah, so that is delta t. That is called delta. So this is delta x. That's I am coming to that. So this is delta x, change in x, and this is delta t, change in time. So this is for large changes. Okay, so if you are covering for large changes, then average velocity will be like that. Now the thing is, what about there is this term? There is this term we use that we call instantaneous velocity. Instantaneous velocity. What does instantaneous velocity mean? So let's look at some graphs first. Let's look at some graphs. Okay.
Basically, it means that the motion at a specific point in time.
Yeah, that's what it means. But we are going to look at it from a graphs perspective. So let's see what does it mean in that case. So let's say you have some points, and your points are like this, and let me see what can I do with this. So let's say your T1 is over here, T2 this is over here, T3 like this, let's say, and T4. Okay, T4, and the positions are such that, so the graph starts from here, let's say it goes like this. Yeah, let's say this is our graph, and on this axis, you know, a graph is
Yeah.
incomplete without the axis. So let's say this is x on this axis, the distance you are moving.
So this is the distance time graph.
Yeah, so this is the distance time graph. So we know from this graph, let me choose this color, that
And
this is
so
x1.
with this graph, we can calculate the velocity.
Yeah, I'll come to that. I'll come to that. This is x2. This is x3, and then in the end, this over here is x4. Okay. So these are 4 points. Let's say x1, x2, x3, x4. Now the thing is, if you want to calculate the average speed, what will you do? Let's say I wanted to calculate the average speed between x1 and x4. For that, you will choose this point, you will choose this point, and you will choose this point,
Mm.
and you will find basically, if there, let's say there is a line between them, you will just find the slope of that line, right?
Right. What we're finding in this?
The slope of this line between x1 and x4. So if you remember, so what is slope? What is slope? Do you remember it? So the slope, the
So
formula in maths, if you studied slope, let's call it s. A slope of a line, this is basically equal to y2 minus y1
yeah,
over x2 minus x1. Do you remember this formula?
yeah, we use this to find the gradient.
Yeah, we use this. Yeah, that is also called slope. The gradient is also called slope. Slope is just another name for the gradient. Okay. So this is the formula for slope. So if I ask you to
Mm.
find the average velocity between T1 and T4, you will tell me that average velocity V is just, what is it? It is x4
Y2 minus, yeah, x4.
minus x1 over T4
P
T4.
for T. We took x for as it is on the y-axis and t is on the x-axis.
Yeah. So you see, this is basically these formulas. They both are same basically. So I can just
Yeah.
say that when you are finding the average velocity on a distance time graph, what you are actually doing is you are
Or
finding
or
the,
either way, or either way we can write the velocity equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
yeah, but that does not clarify like what is y2 and what is x. In this case, it is clear what is y and x is x. Okay, so x is the distance in this case, x is the distance, and t is the
Mm.
time. Okay, so if you see, these are interchangeable formulas. Basically, they are the same versions of each other. Just we have changed the name of the coordinates. The application is the same. And similarly, if I just say that to find the average speed between 2 points, all I need to do is connect those points with a line and find their slope. That's all I need to do to uh, find their velocity, basically average velocity between those points. That's all I need to do. Okay,
Right.
now let's say I consider this point. In that case, my slope, my line will be like this. Let me just use a different color. In this case, if I choose these 2 points, then my line would be like this. If I choose
Mm.
this point, then my line will be like this, right?
Right.
My average velocity, for average velocity, my line will be like this. This will be the average velocity between these two. And similarly, as I keep coming closer and closer to this, what I will get is I will get a tangent to this point. I will get a tangent like this,
Yeah.
right?
Tangent.
Eventually, as I will move closer and closer and closer. You get this point?
Mm.
So as you are
Yes.
moving closer to the point, you will get a tangent. The
Yeah.
thing is
We
now,
got.
now understand this point. Instantaneous velocity tells you what is the velocity at that specific point. And to do that, if I'm calculating the velocity at specific point, for that reason, I will not take some points from a distance away. Like I won't take T2 because it is very much away from T1. That will not be
Mm.
instantaneous. That will not remain at one instant. So what I will do is I will draw this tangent line. This tangent line will be just for that time, just for that one specific time at which we are drawing
Mm.
the tangent. It will be parallel to that line. Do you get this point? So
Yes.
basically, tangent will be specific to that point. And just by finding the slope of that tangent, just by finding the slope of that tangent, I can find the velocity at that point. Clear? So
Mm.
all I need to do is if I have a curve on distance time graph, so to find the velocity from that curve, I will draw tangent and I will find the slope of that tangent to find the
Mm.
velocity. Okay,
Right.
that's the main principle basically. So if you have, so let me just write it like this here. So instantaneous velocity. So let's first define it. This is basically velocity at an instant. Let's say velocity at an instant. So slope, let's say gradient of tangent in a distance time graph gives the instantaneous precisely at that point. It will give me the instantaneous velocity. Okay,
Yeah.
this is the main
Specific.
principle. Okay, perfect. So let's see. So as you move closer to the point, the more close you move to the point, you will get more accurate answer for this. Now the next thing is acceleration. What is acceleration?
Acceleration is the
So do you
average
remember?
velocity of the total time taken.
It is basically the change in velocity. I don't think you have studied this on O level, so this is going to be new. Acceleration is basically equal to change in velocity,
Which is in meter per second square.
change in time. Yeah. So this is for average acceleration, let's say. Average acceleration. So this will be total change in velocity over.
So, but change in velocity, you mean like one, we will have one final velocity and one initial velocity?
Yeah. So let's say you are driving a car and you speed up your car. So you go from
Mm.
0 to let's say 100 meter per second. So your final velocity will be 100, your initial velocity will be 0, and change will be 100. Okay,
Mm.
that is your change in velocity. So this is the formula for average acceleration. And similarly, to show this formula, what I will do is I will just use this method. So A with a line on top, this is basically equal to delta. Wait, this is too big. Delta V over delta T. Okay, so this is the same notation that we used for speed. So speed is the gradient of distance time graph. You see, speed is the, if you look over here, speed is the gradient of distance time graph, delta x over delta t. Acceleration is the gradient of speed time graph. Okay. So similarly, if I repeat the same thing, I will get that acceleration is basically the gradient of speed time graph because it has the same notation. If I explain this, the formula will look like this basically. V2, so it will V2
v2
minus
minus
V1.
to find acceleration, the graph, we need to use the speed time graph.
To find acceleration, yeah, we need speed time graph for that. We cannot find acceleration from distance time graph. We can find speed from distance time graph, and from those speeds we can find acceleration, but we cannot find acceleration directly from distance time graph. Okay, so if you look at this formula, this is again the formula for gradient. So acceleration is basically the gradient of speed time graph. Speed is on the y-axis, so if speed is on the y-axis, this will be y2 minus y1 in that case, and t is on the x-axis, then this is basically the same y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 formula again. So this is acceleration, average acceleration. This is average acceleration. Keep that in mind. So similarly, let me point out this similarity again here. So if you have a graph again that looks like this, and you have let's say this time you have speed over here v, and you have time over here t, and let's say you are speeding up this time. You are speeding up your car this time, let's say, and your v goes like this. Let's say
We're accelerating.
you're accelerating, your v is increasing. So let's take some points now. So this one, let's call this one, this is v1, this is t1, this point over here, this is t2, and this is v2. And let's take another point, which is t3, and this is v3. So let's take t3 as our point now, t3 as our focus point now. So let's say if I ask you to find the average velocity between t1 and t3, you will tell me like these are these points, these red points, and you will plot a line between them, and you will find the slope of that line.
Yeah.
You will
v3
say
minus,
yeah, you will say that is v3 minus v1 over t3 minus t1. You will say this is the acceleration, the average acceleration between t1 and t3, right? This is what you will do. We know from this formula, right?
right?
Clear? Similarly, if I ask you for t2 and t3, if I ask you for the average acceleration between t2 and t3, you will take these points now and you will apply the same formula. So v3 minus v2 divided by t3 minus t2. Now, if you notice one thing, if I want to find it at just at this point, I will take one point over here, and the other point, what I will do is I will move this point upwards, and I will keep moving this point upwards till I basically till both points are at the same point. And basically, if you look at it, if I zoom over here, what you will see in this portion is a straight line like this, like okay, and by drawing a tangent, what you are doing is basically you are extending that straight line. Wait, what did I do? Let me remove this, delete. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this is like if I just consider this one point and find the instantaneous acceleration at this point, what I will get is I will get a tangent, and my tangent will basically look like this mostly. Yeah, like this it seems. It's difficult to move this graph. Yeah, it's difficult to move this, but you get the idea. Okay, so you will get a tangent over here at this point. So let me just draw it like that. So your tangent, this will basically look like this basically. Okay, and you can use any 2 points from this tangent to find the acceleration, instantaneous acceleration at this point. So similarly, what I will do is I will just copy this part over here, and you will see the whole similarity between these two, instantaneous velocity and instantaneous acceleration. So instant velocity was velocity at an instant, instantaneous acceleration is basically acceleration at an instant. So gradient of a tangent at a point in speed time graph. So in that case it was distance time graph. Now we have speed time graph gives the instantaneous acceleration at that point. Okay, so you see the similarities are very much common between these two.
Yes.
We have a lot of similarities here. Okay, so again, if you want to find the instantaneous acceleration on a speed time graph, just draw the tangent and find the slope of that tangent. And if you want to find the instantaneous velocity on a distance time graph, then again draw the tangent and find the velocity, instantaneous velocity. Okay, now let's see what's next. Okay, so there is this term that is called uniform acceleration. Uniform acceleration. What is uniform acceleration? That means, okay, so there are two kinds of acceleration: uniform acceleration and non-uniform acceleration. How should you differentiate between the two? So let's,
Uniform is like straight.
yeah, I'll explain. I will explain. Uniform and non-uniform
That's cool.
acceleration. Okay, so let's see. So let's first look at uniform acceleration. We know that acceleration is basically the slope of distance time velocity time graph, right? We know that. Like acceleration is the slope of
Yes.
velocity time graph. That's what we know. So similarly, if I have a graph over here, let's say if I have a graph like this, and let's say I have v over here, velocity, and t over here. And if I tell you the acceleration is constant, that basically means that the slope of this graph is constant, right? Slope of this graph, that is constant. So the slope of this graph being constant means it is a straight line. That's what a constant slope means. So the straight line can be like this, or it can be like this, it can be like this, any of these shapes, but it is a straight line. That's what matters. Okay, so let me just draw a couple of lines here just to give you an idea. So this is a straight line graph, this is a straight line graph. All of these have constant acceleration. Okay,
Or uniform.
or uniform acceleration. Constant and uniform basically mean the same thing.
And what if it's stationary?
Yeah, even in that
Because
case, like acceleration is zero, right?
Mhm.
If it is stationary, it gets very easier. When it is stationary, basically the distance remains the same, the velocity remains zero. There is not much to ask there. You don't even need to apply these formulas. Don't you? It will complicate it. All you need to do is just say like the distance will remain the same. So if they are given you distance earlier, just say it is going to be the same. So what I will write here is, in all of these blue line graphs, acceleration, which is the gradient, is uniform. Uniform means constant. Now let's look at second case. In the second case, we have another same graph that looks like this. Okay, the axes are the same. So this one is v, velocity. This one is time. But what do we have here? In this case, the velocity is going like this, let's say. Or maybe it is going like this. Or maybe like this. Okay, or maybe it is going like this. In all of these graphs, in these green line graphs, what can we see?
they all are non-uniform.
Their slope is changing. In all these green
They're
line graphs, their slope is changing. And so their acceleration is not constant, and let's say the acceleration is non-uniform. So their acceleration is non-uniform. The acceleration is changing basically. That's what we mean. Okay. So their acceleration is non-uniform. So these are two examples of uniform acceleration and non-uniform acceleration. Now in this chapter, as you can see, it is easier to deal with uniform graphs as compared to non-uniform ones, because the thing is, when you are dealing with uniform graphs, in that case, what you see is they have straight lines. They are easier to predict. I can tell you the velocity at any time just by looking at the graph. It is easier to make predictions. However, in non-uniform acceleration, we don't know how acceleration is increasing. Acceleration can increase in any way, so we don't know about them much. So that's why in this chapter we will be dealing with uniform acceleration. We'll be dealing with uniform acceleration. So the graphs in which the slope of the distance time graph is same. So the speed is decreasing or increasing uniformly. Also, I think I should add some more examples over here. So if you have a graph that looks like this, let's say, if you have a graph that looks like this, even this graph, this is also uniform acceleration. Although even it is negative acceleration, but it is still uniform acceleration. Okay. And similarly, on the right, if you have a graph that looks like this, let's say, that is also non-uniform, because the slope is changing. It is the slope that matters. Slope can be positive or negative, but it should be constant. That's the thing that matters. Okay. So we have uniformly accelerated motion. Okay. Any questions up till now?
No.
Okay. So now we are going to look at how are we going to work with these uniform acceleration graphs? How will we work with these? So to do that, let's first look at
We can
some,
plot points and then find the value.
what, sorry?
We can plot the points and then find the acceleration for it.
Yeah, that is like that is just for average velocity, right? Acceleration is okay. You don't understand the question right now, so I will explain what I mean. Okay, so this is uniformly accelerated motion. Okay, let me see if I can change the color. Okay, I cannot, it seems. Okay, wait. Yeah. So this is what we are going to deal with now is uniformly accelerated motion. So this is a specific kind of motion that we will deal with. Okay. So obviously things can move in any way they want, but we are only considering the case where the acceleration is uniform. The slope of speed time graph is uniform. That's what we are dealing with. So acceleration is uniform. So let's say you have a graph. Let's say question. Let me write a question here. So assume you have an initial velocity u, and you assume you have an initial velocity u. That's the first thing. At time t is equal to 0, you start accelerating with an a acceleration a, so that your final speed at time t is v. So what I want you to do is express v in terms of u, a, and t. So these are the four variables, right? So let's look at this question now. I know this sounds confusing. This sounds a bit confusing, but we'll do it. Okay. So this is our question.
We need to input the formula of acceleration into these three values given.
We need to put
The formula of velocity in UAT.
not the formula of velocity. We'll see. I'll tell you what we are going to do. So let's first look at the graph. To simplify it, to have a better look at it, let's draw a graph. Okay. So what we are doing is we have this graph over here, and on this graph, this is
By this,
v.
yeah,
This is t.
yes,
Okay, so let's not call this v. Let's just call it s, because v is our variable. Okay, v is our variable, so that might confuse you. This is just speed. This is just a speed time graph. So let's call this, let's say, we can call this anything. Let's call this s, speed, let's say, so that it is not confused with v. Okay, v is our final speed. So what they mean is at time t is equal to 0. T is equal to 0 basically means this line, this vertical line. This is t is equal to 0. We start with some initial velocity u. Okay.
yeah,
This is some velocity that we have over here. And then basically our velocity increases. We start to accelerate like this in a straight line because the acceleration is constant. Okay, because the acceleration is constant. And then at time t, let's say you start from here, you accelerate like this with a constant velocity, and then
this one is the speed time graph, huh?
this is a speed time graph, yeah. And this is time t. Okay. Now the thing is, if I want you to find the acceleration of this, so acceleration is pretty easy, right? What do we do for acceleration? We
Yeah.
simply have this method. A is equal to, what is A is equal to? Make a guess. Even if you are wrong, it doesn't matter. What is the change in y? This is the change in speed. This is delta v, and this is delta t. Okay, so acceleration is basically delta v by delta t. This will be v minus u over t minus 0 over t minus 0. Okay, and this will basically give me, this equation will give me a is equal to v minus u by t. Now what we want to do is we want to express v in terms of a and u and t, right? So what we'll do is we'll take t to the other side, we'll take u to the other side, and we'll get this equation. So v is equal to u plus a t. Okay, this is our answer. This is our answer to this question. This is an equation of motion. This is the first equation of motion. So in case of average velocity, we just had the same equation, like v is equal to sorry. In case of average velocity, we just had one equation, which was v is equal to distance over time, right? But in this case, as there is acceleration, so it is not just equal to distance over time. So what we do is velocity is changing basically. In that case, distance over time was constant. We were covering equal distance in equal time. So speed was always constant, but now speed is not constant. In this case, we will use this formula. This is our first equation of motion. So let me write it over here. This is our
V
First
is the
equation.
final velocity.
What, sorry?
V is the final velocity. V stands
Yeah,
for final
v is the
velocity.
final velocity. So let me apply this. This is the first equation of motion. So let's apply this. There are like the most important ones. There are about 3 to 4 important equations of motion that we'll study in this chapter. This is the first one. So let's apply this. So if I ask you, let's say you are traveling, okay, and let's say you drop an apple. You drop an apple from some height, and what happens is when you drop it, after some time, let's say 5 seconds, okay, it basically drops to the ground. Okay, its initial velocity was 0, time is 5 seconds, and acceleration is 10 seconds, 10 meter per second square, right? So what will be its final speed? Its final speed will be v is equal to 0 plus acceleration multiplied by time. Acceleration is 10, t is 5, so its final velocity will be 50. Okay, if it is dropping for 5 seconds.
Oh,
And there are some important things to
50.
notice here. So let's look at something. So if you look at this, it has no relation with height. Okay, this equation, this is dependent more on time on which you are basically applying that acceleration. Height can become a factor when height affects the time. Let's say like if you are dropping a ball, in that case, the greater the height is, the greater the time is. But the time is the main factor. Okay, time is the main factor that is affecting your velocity. So the greater the time, the greater will be the change in velocity. So v minus u is basically equal to at. So v minus u will be greater if acceleration is greater and time is greater. Okay, so let me give you one question. So let's do one question for this. So the question is like this. An apple is dropped from a
Tree.
height h falls to the ground such that it falls to the ground at t is equal to, let's say, up ground after 5 seconds, after let's say 6 seconds. An apple is dropped from a height such that it falls to the ground after 6 seconds. Yeah. Assuming that its initial speed was 0 and the acceleration is the find the final speed of the apple when it hits the ground. This is your question. So how will you apply this?
So the time taken is 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Assuming that speed and
So
the u is
first thing always write the equation. So v is equal to u plus at. Now I'll ask you to fill in these blanks. Okay, what is u?
u is 0.
0, because we have assumed that the initial speed is 0. What is a? A is acceleration of free fall, and acceleration of free fall is almost 10 meter per second square, or we can say 9.8. Let's use 9.8. 9.8
Basically, the gravity.
meter per second square. Okay, and what is time?
And then times it by 6.
Time is 6 seconds. So v will be basically equal to, if I plug in these values, v will be basically equal to 80, and this will give me 9.8 into 6, and this is 58.8.
58.8
So it means after
meter per
5
second.
seconds, it will fall at 58.8 meter per second. And the thing is, in physics, you must always don't just always look at equations. Always like try to understand what are these equations implying. So let me first erase this thing, then I will come to my point. So let me just put one thing here. This is 6 seconds, not 65. Okay. So if you look at this, there are some very important things that you can just see by looking at this equation. Just by looking at this equation, you can find some really important things. So the first thing is let's scroll up a bit, then I'll tell. Okay, so if you look at this equation does not depend on mass at all, does it? It doesn't. There is no mass in this equation. There is no height. There is only initial velocity, acceleration, and time. It means no matter how heavy your apple is. So if you have an apple and if you have a table, if you have an apple and if you have a whole table, if you drop them with the same initial height and for the same time, if they fall for the same time, they will fall to the ground at the same time because their everything in their motion will be same, their velocity will be same, their acceleration will be same. Okay, so this is important. So keep this in mind that basically as long as acceleration is constant, as long as acceleration is constant, this means that basically the objects don't, no matter how large or small or heavy or light they are not, they will not you know, there will not be much differences between them once you drop them from some height. So in their motion, in their movement, they will be very similar. Okay, they will show very similar properties. And this is what basically, there was this scientist
Yes.
Galileo, and what he did was basically Galileo
Drop.
basically, yeah, in the end he got beheaded by the Catholic Church, and what happened was like basically he denied the existence of sun and everything. Okay, so what happened was basically there is this Leaning Tower of Pisa in, I think it is in Italy,
Yeah.
and what he did was basically he basically, to prove this, that tower is basically very high, has a certain height, and what he did was he basically dropped two objects from that from the top of that tower basically, to demonstrate that
Yeah.
if they both will fall at the same time or not. Because the thing is,
Mm.
in physics you can do all your calculations as you want, but to confirm something you also need experimental data. Okay, so physics is actually very it is not just very theoretical, there is also experiment to it. So as long as you don't do the experiment you cannot confirm it. And what he found out was basically that things fall at the same rate. We will
Mm.
study air resistance. It will come into factor later. Air resistance is a force that acts upward. So basically, you might think, like if you have ever seen leaves falling, you might think that leaves don't fall as fast as an apple. An apple will fast way faster. The reason for that is
Mm.
there is another force now. There is air resistance, and that force basically causes this acceleration to be non-uniform. Due to that force, basically what that force does is basically it varies with time, and due to that the acceleration varies with time. And for that
Mm.
reason this equation cannot hold in that case, because your acceleration is varying, and this is the equation only for the case where the acceleration is constant. So if you perform these experiments in a vacuum instead of in to like remove the air resistance, if you remove the
In.
air resistance and you perform these experiments in vacuum, you will get the perfectly accurate results. There will be no change in the results.
Mm.
Okay, so that's basically what science tells us. Okay,
Mm.
if there was something like mass in this equation, if the equation was something like u is equal to mat or something like that, then we would say okay, it depends on mass. But right now it does not. Nothing in this equation depends on mass. Time is independent of mass, acceleration is independent of mass, and acceleration is okay, acceleration is not exactly independent, but we'll study how it is independent. And initial speed, that is independent of mass. Okay, as all these things are independent of mass, we can say this equation is independent of mass. Okay, let me stop the recording here, and the